Welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I'm your host, Darrell Scott, and together we will dive into the lives and careers of the jazz legends who have left a rhythmic imprint on the world. Be prepared to reminisce on the highs and the lows of their musical journey and the trials that sculpted their timeless musical gems. We'll preserve the legacy of these extraordinary maestros and find inspiration in the melodies of their lives. Subscribe now and never miss a beat. Now, let's get to the show. This is the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I am Darrell Scott. Our guest, I can't hold her long because she's working on her debut album CD. We haven't decided what to call it yet. Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to Karla Leal. Karla, welcome to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. How are you today?
I'm great. It's a pleasure to be on.
Thank you. I'm in going through your history and your bio and everything. We've already talked about that. They're not always true or up to date, but some very interesting things. One of which is you're a bass player.
Yes.
How did you gravitate to the bass?
Well, believe it or not, when I was back in Flint, my pastor was like, you have a gift to play the bass guitar and you need to go get the bass, go buy one. And so I went and bought it and I was playing in church. I've been playing there, playing for a very long time. And then it just became second nature.
Did he contribute at least a down payment for you to buy the bass?
My bass was stolen.
What?
My very first bass was stolen at the church. And the next day he was just like, go buy another one, we'll buy you another one. And they bought me another bass. And I have that bass to this day.
So what age did you start playing the bass?
19.
19. So who were your bass influences as you were growing up?
Oh, Victor Wooten, Marcus Miller, Hadrian Farad. And I love me some Norman Brown. I know he's not a bassist, but I love me some Norman Brown. That's that's my guy.
Norman's a good guy. I'm trying to get a hold of him. What was it about the bass that attracted you to it?
Well, it's really the tone, the rhythm. I love rhythm. So the drums and the bass. That's how we go hand in hand. That's what I love. I love that.
So you're part of the band that never really stops. You know what I mean? You're always playing because you always have to have that consistent rhythm or that background or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
What is that not process, but what is that like? Because while somebody over here is doing this or maybe taking a rest, taking a break, you got to keep playing because without you, the song does not go on.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, I always say if you can see the people's heads bobbing in the crowd,
right,
then you doing your job.
You're doing your job.
You're doing your job.
It seems as though you have a great degree of fun playing the bass. Is that true?
Oh yes, absolutely.
So while you're standing up on stage having a good time, what's the funnest thing you've done? All of a sudden you kind of forget and get into it, and the next thing you know, you're doing something on stage, or you're laughing, or create a conversation with the person out there who's watching you. What's up with that?
Well, the funnest thing I would say is like soloing.
Mm-hmm.
That's always fun, and we rarely get that chance to be able to do that.
Right.
But then, like right now, I play for a party band. And so the most exciting thing with playing with a party band is like you're dancing, you're out there in the crowd, you're getting with the folks, and just to see them smiling and dancing and enjoying themselves is a pleasure for me. So
what is the toughest thing about playing that instrument?
Well, when I first started, let me answer it this way. So there's always somebody better than you. And so I had to learn to just be confident in my playing, you know. And so I would say the hardest thing is just trying to keep up keep up with the advancement, because social media just excels people's playing. So you constantly have to keep learning and learning new things, and then when you're trying to solo and be more melodic as a bass player, it's kind of like learning that, like learning horn lines and things of that nature to make it sound more melodic.
It is. You say that, and I think of some of the concerts I've been to and watching the different bass players. Marcus is one of them. And I don't get. I've watched Marcus a lot. I watch Marcus. I have a video of Marcus playing with Darrell doing "You Don't See Me,"
Yeah.
and it's almost like he's having his own little concert. He's got this move going on, and he's moving with this, and you know, is that kind of your style? Do you get really that into the song when you're working with somebody?
Oh yes, absolutely, absolutely. And now that I'm venturing into like producing my own music, it's a whole nother role because I become the lead player now. So that's a whole different interaction.
What what can you describe that interaction?
Oh yeah, because you have to. It's kind of like singing, how you have
Hmm.
to engage the crowd and keep them engaged, and it's the same thing with bass playing. Just keeping them engaged, keeping the rhythm going, keeping the lead lines, just really talking. You're just talking on the bass.
That's so funny. So you got to come to an area that I can get to because now I want to see you play.
Ah, yes.
Um, I also saw in the liner notes of the song you played group tactics. You played the trumpet?
So yes, when I'm producing the song, I'm creating the horn lines. I'm creating those horn lines. I'm creating the keys. I'm basically producing everything except for the drums, and then I'll send it out. If I'm not playing the trumpet, it's somebody else sending it out for them to play the horn lines for me.
So you play another instrument. Is there anything else that you play?
Keyboards, yeah.
So when's the album come out where the only name on the CD cover, the art or whatever is just yours because you're playing everything and you're doing everything? Is that a possibility? Is that something you'd like to do?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm always collaborating, you know. And it's not always just gonna be like me playing every instrument, but most of the time I'm producing my own music. The only time like Hot Summer Breeze, I played with Najee on that one. So he was so gracious to play on the single. And I'll just, produce it. Hey, do you like it? And he loved it. So he just decided to come on and collaborate with me on that one.
How did that relationship start?
Oh, it was through my promoter. He introduced us.
Okay. As a matter
Yeah.
of fact, since you're talking about it, guess what we're about to play now? We're going to play
Which,
Hot Summer Breeze.
all
Ladies and
right.
gentlemen, this is Karla Leal, and this song is Hot Summer Breeze. Take a listen. What was the thought behind putting together this project of these songs that you have, or I don't know if you have them all done, but the songs that you have?
Well, so I got started with this project during COVID, and I was like, man, I want to produce some songs. I want to see if I have if I have the ability to do it. And I discovered, hey, I could play keys. I've never touched it before. And so
Hmm.
I started learning things about myself, and I just started being able to hear different sounds. So the whole project purpose of it is for me to produce a sound out there that may not have been heard before. That something that comes from a deep place within inside of me that, I want to be able to share with the world.
Now, we've played 2 songs from your upcoming project. When will the project be done, and when will it be released to us public peons?
Yes. So beginning of July, I have another single coming out from that CD in June, but the album's coming right at the same time.
Is there a great degree of anticipation? Before you used to just put out, here's 12 songs and go listen to them. Now it's kind of like one at a time over a
Yes.
period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And as you get closer to having the final project done, do you have this sense of anticipation to, oh, it's almost done. I can almost release it to the world, but I still have to wait for one more song. What is that waiting process like?
Well, it's a lot of work to produce the album, especially since I'm producing it by myself. Because I work as a full-time engineer and I am a mother and a wife at the same time. And so, it's a balance. And so, for me, it's like, okay, I'm almost done with the songs. It's
Hmm.
all about timing for me. And then
Right.
also the market's a bit different, because there's so much music out here. And so you're really trying to test to see, your market, if there are people that like the music that you're producing. And then, and so at this point, I'm just extremely excited that I am at the finish line. It's coming.
Yeah. All right. We got to make sure we get a copy of it so we can pass it on to our listeners. You mentioned that you currently have a full-time gig. You're an electrical engineer. Impressive.
Thank you.
And so when do you have time to do music? Because I've worked with a few electrical engineers. They're always going back and tweaking this, tweaking that, putting this together and taking this out, putting this in. When do you have time to work on your music?
Well, typically I get up early in the morning. I about 3 a.m. is usually when I get up to
Oh my God.
to produce. And then I'm going to work, dropping the kids in school and going to work. But on the weekends, I have a very good husband who works well with the kids and can handle the household when I'm on travel, for music and even work. So I'm just very grateful to God that he's in my life.
Electrical engineer waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning, going to work, dropping the kids off, and playing the bass. Hmm. You'll have to in your book. Yes, I'm hinting that you should write a book. Um, you need to put in there how you manage your time and manage your playing, your kids. Don't get me wrong, your husband and everything else that goes on, because that's an art to do all of that. And then
Yeah.
at some point, I guess, once the project comes out, you're going to be doing more tourings, let's say outside of your area,
Mhm.
and then it's like, uh, I get a break. I can be away from everybody. Oh no, I got to go play tonight. I just don't. I, I I mean, I have a very busy schedule, and I had a very busy schedule before I retired. But this is, it's like walk out of one room, walk into another room with that set of issues and problems. It's like walk out of this room and go over here, and it never ends. So I guess, and I've asked this question to a lot of people, when do you rest?
Oh, listen, Sunday after church, I turn my phone off.
Okay, I'll remember that because um, so you're born in Flint. So my question
Yes.
with anybody outside of the in Michigan, let's say, I'm in Ohio, so I won't bad rep Michigan too much. Um, is there a is there a Motown influence in your playing?
Well, so like I said, I grew up on jazz. So Norman Brown
Okay.
was all that I listened to, um, just constantly. And so it's really the jazz scene for me. Um, I mean, Motown, yes, the Temptations, I love the Temptations. I love, all those bass players that came from, Flint. And so it's just, that's just really my inspiration. It was the jazz scene that I was heavy in it.
And I found out from talking to a few people from that area Detroit, Flint area has a great tradition in jazz music, and that I didn't know of, being spoiled, being here from Ohio and Cleveland. Do do you would you agree with that? Because there were people I had never heard of, and since talking to Marion Hayden, Lynn Roundtree, Darrell Beebe, I've gotten a better education about the jazz music that came out of Flint and
Hmm.
Detroit. Can you remember any of those people, or do you? Because is Norman from Detroit?
I don't think he is. I just love this music.
Nice. Okay. I, I ain't mad at you because Norman's a good guy. As a matter of fact, he was supposed to be here last year for the Tri-C Jazz Fest and came up with an illness. He didn't make it. What you this electrical engineering thing and being a bass player is fascinating to me. So is there a project that you've worked on as an electrical engineer that you're proud of that you can share? Because I realize whatever company you work for, they don't want to share things. But if you could say, I worked on this and it's out here doing this, what would you say?
So I work for a company named Lockheed Martin, so a lot of
Oh,
it's under tight.
okay. Never
So,
mind. I, I never asked anything about it. Never mind. Do your coworkers know you play?
yes, yes.
Big audience? They're showing up at shows, making
Well, they
spectacles of
don't know.
themselves.
Yeah, they just know my music is out there, and so they enjoy listening. I have one guy, coworker. He just always is ranting and raving about my songs, and so it really gives me encouragement, even though, I have the engineering hat on. I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
can't wait to start. Get out here and let's go do some bass playing.
Are there ever occasions when you're at your electrical engineering job and a rhythm, a hook, something comes to mind? Do you have it? iPhones are wonderful things. I think they're a pain, but they're wonderful things because I hear people go, I'll just put the riff or whatever in my phone. So I want to go out now and steal people's phones because I figure I'll get a whole lot of music that comes out before they actually release it. Do you find yourself saving that and putting it on your phone? Because I mean, you're working with engineering things, which I just can't remember, and I won't call them anything.
I do. So a lot of times the way I test my music is is if it sounds good while I'm driving. so, so yeah,
Okay,
so I have to be able to bump it and move it. It's gotta really feel good to me driving, and that's how I know I have a good product.
nice. Okay, let's take another break here and take a listen to "Wait and See" from
All right.
bass player Karla Leal on the Jazz Flyte Podcast. Karla, it's just good music. This is your debut project. What what inspired you to put all this together? You're sitting at home being an electrical engineer, you're working, all of a sudden you go, I think I'm just gonna go do music. Um, and you're putting out some really good stuff. Did this inspiration start at work? Was it always there? Was this something you always wanted to do? Um, how do we really get started in the music business, we'll say?
Well, so I didn't know anything about music when I was growing up. In high school, junior high, I was never in band. I was really just a bookworm, focused on math and science, and and it wasn't until my pastor said, and I was in college by then, I was doing electrical engineering work, right, and learning. And my pastor, when he just saw the gift in me. So the credit really just goes to God. He put a gift in me, and I think that I have a purpose for it. Whatever he with the sound that I'm producing has some type of purpose, and I'm just excited to have the gift, you know.
I can't wait for this project to come out because in the short time that we've talked, I've learned a lot, and I feel an energy from you that I think will take you far. Um, it'll be interesting. Have your kids ever been to any of your shows?
Yes, yes. My
Now,
daughter, she sings, and so at the show, she's always dancing and singing. She's just dancing and singing, and they just enjoy just watching me up there playing. My son, he'll dancing and singing, and he like right now he's learning the keyboard. I'm teaching him the keyboard, and my daughter, she's learning keyboard and just helping learning the drums, and so they have aspiration for music.
so it's quite possible in a few short years it'll just be the Leal band, correct?
It's possible. Definitely. Oh yeah.
I take credit for that idea. I take credit for that idea. Um, you have a quote that you kind of live by, and let me read this. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. What does that mean to you? How does that translate into your life?
Well, for me, you know, a lot of times, you know, you get nerves when you're performing, and you know, growing up, you're not really sure. Well, for me, you know, it's a lot of avenues that I took, like electrical engineering, and I found out that I had, you know, there was bass playing, and so you have to get over the fear of like playing in front of the people or people's opinion. You just got to get out there and do it.
Right.
You just
Yeah.
got to get out there and do it and produce and just believe in what you're making and producing. And so I really believe in what I'm producing, and that it's a good sound and it's going to bring joy, you know, to people's heart. It's going to bring, you know, if they're having a bad day, it'll uplift their spirits, you know. And so for me, it's just like, hey, get over the fear of people's opinions. Just go out here and do it. Believe in what you're doing.
There are, and I'm going to say this, and I mean this wholeheartedly, that I like what you just said. I really do, because I think there's too many people out there who are hesitant about what they want to do and what they will do, and you're always that fear of, and sometimes it's the fear of success,
Mm.
um, and you just don't know how to handle it, because you've seen other successful people and you've seen the trials and tribulations that they've gone through, and you don't necessarily want to do that, especially if you're an introvert. Um, but this is really good. It's really good music. I appreciate the time that you've given me. We will keep you uh, out there. You put stuff out, you send it to me. I'm going to add you. Before I go, before I forget, let's do this first. What's next for you? You got this project is do you have already, you're sitting here and you've got enough music for your CD, your album. Do you have more that is sitting there that you'll release on the next one? Or is it, let me get done with this one first, and then I'll begin to work on what will be the second project?
Yes, so there's definitely going to be a second project. I have a ton of music just sitting on my computer and just trying to figure out how to the right time to release it all. Um, so that, and then just touring the world. I want to play around the world, not just nationally, but just internationally, you know.
This will be interesting. Okay, I'm not gonna. We'll talk more about that. What's your feeling on women's position in the world of jazz right now?
I think it's strong. So there's a lady named Kim Scott. She's just, ooh, she is ahead of the game, you know, and I love listening to her music. And she's a great example of how you can do it, you know, at being a female. Lizzo, there's so many. The game, the market is changing. It
Hmm.
has
Hmm.
already changed, and so yeah, being a female should not be a roadblock to being successful.
It,
It's different now.
it is funny. We have Kim lined up to do an interview, and the first thing I will do is convince her that we are not related. Um, but then I say that and I go, I can't say that because until you find out the history and where people have come from, we very much could be related. I turns out I don't know if you're a baseball fan, but here in Cleveland there was a player named Albert Bell. I had an uncle named Barry Bell. I okay, I'm not the math genius that you are, but so I'm working for the Indians and I go down and talk to Albert and I go, "Where are you from?" He goes, "Louisiana." And I go, "No, you're not." He goes, "Yes, I am." And I find out what city and I get hold of my uncle. He goes, "No, Darrell, you're related to him." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So you never know. Yeah, do I want to go on the shows to find out who I'm related to and whether it's somebody famous? Yes, I do. But then once again, that's a fear thing. You're afraid of who you might be related to. Um, so you're definitely going to do more projects. How can our listeners follow you? Because I'm sure there are people out there who are interested in to keep up with your music, to keep up with what you're doing, to make sure that the kids graduate, to make sure that the husband is doing his job. So where can our folks follow you?
So Instagram page, Karla Leal Music. I also have a website, karlalealmusic.com. On Facebook, you should be able to find me, Karla Leal. And it's Karla with a K. The C looks ugly. It's just Karla with a K.
Oh my. The C looks, I've never heard that before. The C looks ugly. Okay.
No offense to all the Karlas.
I was going to say, there are Karlas out there now. I go, what was that email address? What was that Facebook account? What was this? Because I got to call this girl and tell her the C does not look ugly. Very nice. Very nice. Karla, best wishes. Good luck. Anything that the Jazz Flyte Podcast can do, please let us know. You have all the contact information. We will be following you, as will our listeners. This has been a pleasure. I'm glad to have met you. And we'll just go from there. And I'll tell Kim Scott you said hi. All right.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Ladies and
Thank
gentlemen,
you.
You've been listening to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I'm Darrell Scott. We will talk to you next week. Thank you for tuning in to the Jazz Flyte Podcast. I hope you enjoy these stories and soulful melodies that grew through the doors of time. If you want to stay connected with the latest updates and episodes, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell. Until next time, I'm Darrell Scott.